So let's go to the second trumpet. Yes, of course, I have to play. There's the second trumpet. Okay, the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was hurled into the sea. And a third of the sea became blood, and a third of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. Okay, so if you remember last week, I told you this is the one trumpet that I was not sure of. I was not sure if my interpretation of the marker that I thought I had found in Josephus's writings, if it was accurate. And I was very, very sure about all the rest, the other 6 trumpets. But this one I wasn't. So I have found some more supporting proof now. So I'm very happy to share that with you today. So the first part of this, though, is this something like a great mountain burning with fire was hurled into the sea. And so this is what I told you last week that I thought probably was the marker for this. And this is the next thing that Josephus tells us that happens in this battle is that the Roman soldiers, they started off with their war machines, and then they're getting closer. And as they got closer to the actual walls, there was this tower, this fortified tower that was part of the wall, the defensive walls and tower system around the city of Jerusalem. And it was so well fortified that it was allowing the Jewish people to fight back very, very ferociously. And it was called the Tower of Antonia. Let me show you a picture of it. Let's see. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So what you see here, this is like a replica of, it's probably AI, of the city of Jerusalem and what it would have looked like at this time. So everything in the foreground here with the big tower, with the big golden topped building in the middle, that is the temple. Okay, that's the Jewish temple. Okay, their sacred center for worship. The Tower of Antonia is in the top right left, or the top right corner. And you see that it's just like 4 towers, and then it's fortified. It has all of these like walls around. So it's a complex, of a military complex where the Jewish soldiers would have been able to fight back against the encroaching Roman soldiers. Okay, so we have this Tower of Antonia. It's this big, huge thing. It's the tallest thing around, and it's on top of a mountain, okay? And the Roman soldiers can't get very close to it because the Jewish soldiers are fighting back. And so what they do is they try to go around to the sides of it and dig underneath it from the sides. Okay, dig underneath into the mountain below the walls and the towers of this Tower of Antonia complex. Okay, and so here is what Josephus tells us happened next. Okay, they were digging underneath it. They had undermined their banks, and then the ground gave way and the wall fell down suddenly. When this accident had unexpectedly happened, the minds of both parties were variously affected. So get the scene here. They are digging down. But then all of a sudden, way earlier than anybody suspected, the walls just crumble and just fall down. Okay. And so remember what we had been told. We weren't told a mountain fell into the sea. We were told something like a great mountain burning with fire was hurled into the sea. Okay. So I believe that was when this big tower and the walls all fell down suddenly. Everybody was shocked. Okay, so the Jewish people would have been shocked and horrified because this is the first time their walls have been breached. The Roman soldiers were also shocked. They didn't expect it to fall so quickly, but they would have been emboldened by this happening so fast. Okay, so that is the first part of the second trumpet. Now, what I really didn't understand and I wasn't sure about was the rest of this. It says they were hurled into the sea. A third of the sea became blood. A third of the creatures which were in the sea had life died. And a third of the ships were destroyed. And so what I told you last week is that I thought that it was talking about the sea of people. So the sea of the Jewish people. So because there were all of these Jewish people, there were way more people inside of Jerusalem than normally would have always been who lived in Jerusalem, because this battle began during the Passover. So if you know anything about Jewish tradition from this time period, many thousands and thousands of Jewish people from surrounding areas, outlying areas, would have traveled to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover in Jerusalem. So you have all these the population probably increased like 4 or 5 times what would normally be in the city of Jerusalem. Now, the Roman soldiers, Josephus tells us that the Roman soldiers knew that Passover was getting ready to start. So they were still out there waiting, but they They were in hiding and allowed all of these Jewish people to come in to the city of Jerusalem. And then when Passover started, that's when the Roman soldiers descended upon the city and they sealed it shut. Okay, so once they sealed it shut, you've got all of these hundreds of thousands, and Josephus even tells us over 1 million people inside of the city of Jerusalem, and they're trapped inside. Okay, they're trapped inside. And so because of that, the food supplies, they can't get any new food supplies or any new water supplies. And so because you've got so many more people in there than what the city would normally sustain, they ran out of supplies very, very quickly. And so out of the over 1 million people that Josephus tells us died during this war, many of them, more than half of them, died from starvation, from the famine. And so this is what I was thinking, that the sea, because Jerusalem itself is not on a body of water, it's not on the sea. So that's what I thought, but I still wasn't sure about it. Now, here's what I found that I believe gives a very, very good support to what I have been saying here. Okay, so Jerusalem's natural defenses were weakened by its reliance on imported food, as local agriculture could not sustain its population. Instead, the city depended on supplies from Judea, Samaria, Galilee, and beyond. During the war, this dependence increased due to the arrival of all of the extra Jewish people for the Passover. And then they couldn't leave, making the city even more vulnerable to famine. Okay, now get this. Okay, so that would be the ships, their supplies that were destroyed. Okay, but now listen to this. The city's water supply relied on large pools that collected rainwater runoff and channels directing water from sources such as the Gihon Spring, while an aqueduct system brought additional water from the vicinity of Bethlehem. So this is our water. This is our sea right here. So when the Romans surrounded the city, they would have cut all of this off. They would have cut off the aqueduct, so they wouldn't have any water. They would have cut off, all of these the water coming in from the springs. And then whatever water supplies they had would have quickly become very contaminated as people are starting to be murdered, and there's blood running in the streets, and there's dead bodies everywhere. And so that is what the second trumpet is talking about. So I was very excited to find that extra information.